So if you own a Triumph Street Twin, specifically one of the early models between 2016 and 2018, then you'll know exactly what I'm about to talk about. Now, the Street Twin is a bike that's packed full of style, it has got tons of torque, but let's be honest, the braking on these early models is nothing to be desired. It is literally like squeezing a wet sponge. So if you want to know how I improved the braking on my 2017 Street Twin, then stick around because I'm going to show you exactly what I did step by step to rectify Triumph's original problem. So step one, I upgraded my pads to EBC sintered pads. Definitely better than the standard ones, a lot more bite, but still not great. I then also went for the upgraded floating disc from Triumph, and paired with those EBC pads. Again, it improved the braking, but honestly, it was still pretty poor. The bike's got so much low-end torque and growl, but that stopping power just wasn't there. And so it left me at times feeling frustrated on the ride. You had all that power to play with and it was fantastic on the twisties, and the sound and the feel was absolutely phenomenal. But the brakes just felt like an afterthought and they left you wanting more from the bike but unable to just get it. So as a last-ditch attempt, I went to British Legends and I picked up their 4-pot Brembo Caliper upgrade kit, which cost me over £450 with the import taxes. And I'll be real with you, I was nervous about spending that much money because all I found online were reviews, minimal reviews really, which is why I'm doing this one. Didn't really give much information. People were saying, those that had installed it were saying it made a very minimal difference. And so I took the plunge and I was like, is this going to make a difference? So let's get into it, let's get into the ride and let's see how it looks, how it performs, and I'll give you the lowdown on whether or not you should upgrade to the Brembo 4-pot caliper. Now let's talk about installing the caliper. The process is fairly straightforward and it comes with a little set of instructions which also look pretty simple and straightforward. But there are a few things to keep in mind before you start the job. Now, I ran into a few issues and hopefully this will help you before you decide to take on the job yourself or whether you want to give it over to a professional to do it for you. So when you remove the long banjo bolts from the old Nissin caliper, they are quite long, and so there is the likelihood that you could lose all the brake fluid from the system. Now when this happens, you're more likely to get air into things like the master cylinder up on the brake, and obviously the whole system is it's completely dry, so it will need refilling and all that air will need to get out of the system, and that can be quite a lengthy, long process and quite a bit of a headache to deal with. Now what this actually meant for me was I had to do a reverse bleed, which if you're fitting a caliper you might want to do a reverse bleed anyway. But I also had to do a vacuum bleed and then a regular gravity fed bleed. So I had quite a few issues with air that got into the master cylinder, into the system, and obviously the caliper itself is completely dry. So it's not just a regular standard brake bleed, it is getting fluid into the system that is completely dry, and if you get air bubbles in there like I did, then it's a little bit of a longer job. But if you're comfortable with brake hydraulics, then this is a manageable job for you. But just take your time and follow the proper procedures and just double check all the fittings. If you're not confident, like I would say, and you're not comfortable with things like reverse bleeds, vacuum bleeds, then it is best to have a professional look at this for you. So trying to beat the light this evening and come for a little, last minute evening ride. It's absolutely beautiful. So I thought we'd give these brakes a test. Now obviously I've bedded them in, I've done a couple of 100 miles on them, so I know what they're like, but I thought it'd be nice to take you out on a ride so you can see exactly what it is I'm talking about. But the light is absolutely stunning this evening, although we are turning away from the sun. So I can feel that instantly as I dab that brake. if I'd had this brake coming into this corner, I can feel it straight away. If I slam the brakes on, yeah, that's lovely. Scrubs a lot of that speed off. Now what's lovely about that is you can definitely feel a massive difference to the original. You've got that instant brake, you can feel that grab. Now I would have still been going for miles had I have done that on my old bike with the Nissin calipers. You've definitely got a lot more grab, a lot more stopping ability, gives you so much more confidence, it's so much more clued up and put together, and it's just gives you that ability to ride a little bit faster, to take those corners a little bit later, to brake into them a little bit later and come out the other side, rather than having to preempt how steep that angle is and brake way beyond the bend. So it's so nice to be able to just ride the bike. Now don't get me wrong, I took a speed twin out for a ride at the weekend, and that has got double discs, 320mm rotors on the front and double 4-pot calipers, although they're not Brembo, but they are the Triumph calipers. And that had lovely brakes. For a standard stock set of brakes, those calipers did an amazing job. So don't get me wrong, the braking on this is not as good as the speed twin, sorry, but bearing in mind that has got 320mm double-sided rotors with 4-pot calipers either side. This is a single-sided 310mm floating disc with a now 4-pot Brembo caliper. So in answer to the question, is the Brembo 4-pot caliper worth the upgrade? Well, the short answer to that, in my personal opinion, is 100% yes. It has transformed the handling of the bike because I'm able to push that bike so much harder because I know that the braking is there to take care of business when I need it. So it's worlds apart from the 2-pot Nissin caliper. You actually really do feel a difference once those brakes are bedded in properly. It's really nice that you know that you can push that bike a lot later into those bends because you're able to scrub that speed off when it's needed. So 100%, if you're thinking about doing the Brembo upgrade, I couldn't recommend it highly enough, and I would personally say, yep, just go for it. Don't wait for that price to drop, as I did. I waited a good few years hoping the price would come down, but unfortunately it didn't, and I still ended up paying the £450. But obviously a good few years later, so I could have got that enjoyment a lot sooner if I'd just bitten the bullet and done it then. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you can do so by clicking the little button below. And if you click the bell icon, then you will be notified of the latest release when I next put a video out. So all that's left for me to say in the meantime is safe driving, safe riding, happy adventures, and I'll see you in the next one.